All right, let's start. Okay, I'm here with Bevin Prince, who everyone knows played Bevin on One Tree Hill. Bevin, thank you for joining me today on this interview for TeenDramaWhore.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and be back in Wilmington and all the things.
That's wonderful. Well, I want to throw it way back to, I guess, 2003. Do you remember how you heard about One Tree Hill for the first time?
I was interning at the casting office
Oh.
for the Fincannons. I was at UNCW studying film studies, and they said there was a new show coming to town. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be on that show.
Okay.
I wasn't an actress. I don't know what I was thinking.
You weren't even interested in acting at that time?
I mean, I technically had always said I wanted to be an actress, but I didn't really know what that meant.
Okay.
I just thought it meant like you're just famous and you get free things. And I was like,
that kind of does mean that.
Yeah. I was like, that sounds awesome. I want that.
So what happened from there? You heard about the show through this job you had.
So there was a guy working next to me who was casting all the extras and the cheerleaders. And he's like, you used to be a cheerleader. Do you have any interest in wanting to do that? Can we submit you? And I was like, I've never been on set. That would be fun. In my mind, I still thought I was going to go into casting myself.
Okay.
So we, they submitted me, and then I started as a extra, one of the cheerleaders, and then eventually just, got to know everybody here, and they were amazing and started to, create a little character for me.
Well, for your first handful of episodes, your role was unnamed. Do you remember how it was finally decided to give your character a name and then it would actually be your real life name?
I mean, this is how I remember it, but I'm not 100% sure. In my mind, there was a scene where we were doing some sort of fashion show, and I think it was Hillary Burton just shouted out. She was like, "Go, Bevin!" And then it never got cut out, so they were like, "I think we're just gonna keep her name as Bevin."
That's funny, and it makes sense for sure. When did you find out that they were pairing Bevin romantically with Skills?
I remember that call so clearly.
Really?
They called me one day before the script was coming out, and they were like, we have an idea for Bevin. We think her and Skills are going to be a couple. And I was elated. I was like, this is as good as it gets. First of all, Antoine is a spectacular human. He's always had my back and taken care of me in so many ways, and like taught me so much about acting and being a good human and showing up for people. And so to get to work one-on-one with him and have him be my romantic partner was dreamy.
This didn't occur to me before, but now I'm wondering, was there a crazy age difference between you two in real life?
No, we're not. I mean, a little bit, but not crazy. Not crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was definitely over 21 at the time. So.
With the 4-year time jump, Bevin was no longer on the canvas, but we did see you in a season 5 episode. How did that come about?
The season 5 episode. You're gonna have to help me.
Yeah, so you are working in like Macy's. And Lindsay are shopping and working Owen, and
I named my kid Nathan. Yes, that is correct. I do remember that. So I had just moved to LA and was coming back and forth, and was kind of like, I think I'm going to stay out here and try to see what we can do out here. I was like, if you guys, need me back, obviously I'm there in a second. And they just had an idea that they wanted to have Bevin, pop up and see where she's been and what she's been up to. And it was so much fun.
It was excellent fan service because we love those callbacks to the earlier seasons and the characters that we love. But what was most surprising was that Bevin and Tim apparently had a child together off screen.
They did it.
What was your reaction to that?
I mean, it kind of made sense to me, but my heart was always set on Bevin and Skills being together forever, which ended up happening, which was amazing.
Well, we didn't, find out why Bevin and Skills broke up. Skills kind of like suggests that he's a man scorned in one of his lines. Like he says something like, you don't trust women named Bevin or something. And we don't find out how Bevin and Tim got together. As an actress, do you fill in those plot holes in your mind and come up with the backstory?
Yeah, I mean, I normally would have if I was on the show more post that. Like if there was a need for if there was a need to make a reason to make sense of it. but I never really filled this one out. I
Okay.
didn't. I just kind of let it be magic.
Well, it was magic for us.
Yeah.
And then you got to be involved in the series finale. How did they call you back for that? And what did that mean to you?
I mean, that meant everything, right? To be a part of a show that was so important to so many people and was such a huge part of my own life and education as a human. To be asked for, you know, one last call altogether was, it made me feel very loved and validated, and it was just really a sweet little moment of closure for me as well.
So how do you feel about the episode in season 4 that touches on Skills and Bevin being a mixed race couple before their parents meet?
Yeah, you know, it's crazy to think that that was even a conversation that needed to be had, but
Yeah.
it just wasn't happening on networks like the CW at that time. And so it was very exciting for me to get to be a part of that and something, you know, and kind of opening maybe mainstream television's eyes to just something that looks different than what maybe you're used to seeing on TV. So anytime we have the opportunity to create a reflection of what's actually happening in real life and help people grow a little bit as they watch and be more accepting and understanding of things that they're not usually used to is to me the utmost, I think, importance of any sort of art. And I was really, really excited to be a part of that.
It was also neat just to see Bevin have more of a storyline, a prominent place in that episode, and you got to have parents. Like they filled in your world just a little bit.
My personal parents were so offended it wasn't them. I was like, that's not how this works, guys. It's not reality TV.
Well, when you look back on your nearly 40 episodes, what else stands out?
I mean, we built such incredible relationships amongst the cast. You know, Danielle is like a sister to me. I just was on the phone with her this morning. She's taken care of me and been there for me year after year.
Weren't you a bridesmaid for her, or she was a bridesmaid for you? Or?
Yeah, I was a bridesmaid for her. She was pregnant with her twins when I got married, so she wasn't able to make it because we got married out of the country.
Oh, nice.
So yes, but she threw us a really amazing party, and you know, like she does, she's the best of the best.
That's
and
awesome.
You know, remaining friends with everybody. I mean, Hillary and Soph and Lee, of course, is, you know, down the road for me now. A couple hours, but nearby.
Couple hours.
Yeah, it's just I think that's the thing that stands out the most is how close we are and how over time too, as we grew up as adults, we get to watch each other's lives expand and change and all the successes, and it really does feel like a family.
What did you love about filming and living in Wilmington?
Because I'm from North Carolina. I mean, my parents were here in Wilmington at the time. My life was here. I was in college here. So it was kind of a dreamy situation. I was finishing college while starting to shoot One Tree Hill, which was just like, it was so fun. So like my worlds were fully colliding. This whole world of One Tree Hill, and then, you know, my college world and my family world, and everybody got to know my parents and my family and my sister. And it was really, and I kind of felt like, you know, it was my town to show. I was excited that I got to introduce people to pieces of Wilmington and, you know, show them how it's done here.
Yeah. So what was it like being, you know, in episodes and then going back to campus? Were you recognized? Did anyone treat you differently?
Nobody really cared at the time. Nobody really cared. I felt like it wasn't until after the show finished airing that I felt like people started to recognize me. So I think it was when it was on Netflix and there was a whole second wave of people watching the show. That's when I feel like I started to get recognized. Before then, it just felt like, I think because Wilmington is a small town, everybody knew everybody. They were, you know, more excited to see, you know, Sophia Bush than they were Bevin, who is in their film studies class. You know, they're like, who cares?
Well, you also had one-off appearances on Desperate Housewives and House. What were those experiences like?
I mean, they were so fun. Like but it was never the same as the comfort and the family of One Tree Hill, right? So it was super fun to get to go on to other sets and meet other actors and stuff, but it was also kind of isolating. Like I was so used to coming in to work every day, and I was sitting down with my people and eating breakfast and, then driving home together and all the things. So it was just a very different experience, totally. But also really fun and learning and all those things.
I think your most recent credit, if I'm not mistaken, is an episode of Power from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Did you make a conscious decision to act less and less?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Sure didn't. So yeah, it was just like when I took 2 years off and moved to Savannah, Georgia to go to grad school, which I went to, sorry, my husband just came in. I went to grad school there in Savannah, Georgia. And so I kind of pulled myself out of the scene for a little bit so that I could take some time to really figure out, to hone my craft and learn a little bit more about acting itself. And then when I came back, things just weren't happening as rapidly as I think I would have liked them to. And so at that point, it kind of became like, also, I was spoiled rotten, right? I got to, work on an amazing show with an amazing people and amazing storylines. And I was a little specific about what I was willing to go out on. And I probably wasn't at far enough in my career to really have the ability to say, no, I shouldn't do that. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to go out for that one. So there was all sorts of multiple factors, but I firmly believe in my core, in my gut, that we're being led in these situations, right? So for me, my path wasn't fully supposed to be, a Hollywood actress. My path was led in a totally different direction, which I wouldn't change for the world now.
Well, it's nice to believe that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And you've kind of come full circle, and we'll get into that. So you transitioned into the fitness world and SoulCycle in New York. What is it about fitness and then specifically cycling that you love so much?
I've always been really physically active my whole life. Like I feel my best and my clearest self when I'm moving. Could be probably because I have way too much energy for any weekend to hold in. So I cheered and danced and did all those things and ran. And when I got to New York, I was feeling very claustrophobic in the city.
I hate it.
In the summer, in the winter time, it was snowing. I was just, coming from Savannah, Georgia and North Carolina and Los Angeles. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't like it. So I knew at that point I needed to try something new. And I stumbled into a SoulCycle one day and I hated indoor cycling. I thought it was ridiculous. I was like, I don't understand this concept. But then I got on the bike and I felt a sense of like freedom and playfulness and joy that I had not felt before. And there's also an inspirational element to it. So it felt like, for me personally, in addition to working with people and getting them to take chances and be curious about what they're able to do on the bike, which they start to then do outside the room as well. I found a space that all the work, the personal like self-work I had done over the years, I got to share that with people in a way that I felt this deep sense of connection with everyone. And it made my community feel really large and New York feel very small. And so that's really what like took me there. And and then beginning of COVID, we were in New York and I decided to come down to Wilmington for a few months to be with my family. And then I was just like, I don't think I want to leave. So I took all the things that I'd learned and wanted to start my own version of some sort of cycling business and just kind of went for it. Not kind of went for it. I just went.
You went for it.
Yeah. Straight went for it.
Okay, let's be real. How scared were you?
I still wake up in the morning and I'm like, am I good? Are we good? Do I know what I'm doing? And the answer is absolutely not, because nobody does. But I preach this all day, every day. So it's time for me to walk the walk, right? Like nobody's ever ready. Nobody ever really knows what they're doing. You just got to throw yourself out there, start to fail, try again, try something new. So I'm just trying to be really patient. I call myself a recovering perfectionist. And so I try to be really patient and just like say, okay, that's the best I did today. Yeah, we're going to try something different tomorrow, or celebrate the win and then keep going.
I think I read this on the site. The redesigned site is just beautiful, by the way. I
Thanks.
love the
can't think
color
I had
scheme.
help. Also have help.
We all have help, yes.
Yes.
So I think it says it on there, but for those who don't know, explain the name Recess and why you chose that.
Yeah. So to me, I feel like the idea in the world of fitness gets very serious and very intimidating for so many people. And fitness should just be it should be an all-inclusive space that is just about play and movement. So I thought about this idea of when you were a kid and you went to go outside and play and you're going to run down the street. You're like, I'm going to run down the street. You don't stop and ask yourself before you start running, am I going to make it to the end of the street? You just start running. And so to me, I really wanted to bring back fun and like lightness to just the joy of movement. And it doesn't have to be the craziest, hardest thing you've ever done. And it doesn't have to be better than it was yesterday. And you just got to like breathe and move your body a little bit. And that is really joyful and connecting to me.
How has the reception been? I love the location that you're in. I know many people watching this won't know what Mayfair is, but I live right near there, and I think you're in such an awesome spot. So what kind of reception have you gotten so far?
We're very excited because we feel like there is a space for this in this community, especially right now in the midst of COVID, where we feel stripped of community and don't really feel like there's a place for us to come and gather and celebrate one another joyfully and safely. So that's why we chose to get a big tent, and you wear your mask till you get on the bike, and then you can take your mask off because all bikes are more than 6 feet apart from one another. And people are really enjoying it. You know, it's not like a straight out of the gate, the classes are packed every single class, but everybody that's coming is coming back, and I can see that slow build, and that is very exciting to me and also people are starting to get to know each other and support each other, and you know, I can see people talking afterwards, and then they're exchanging information on Instagram and you know, showing up for each other in their community. So it's really good.
I imagine that feels very rewarding as like almost the wizard behind the curtain who puts it all together for everyone.
The only thing I want is for people to find, you know, comfort and community in one another. Like, we can't do this alone. Life is hard, and it is messy, and it is complicated, and we get to celebrate together. We get to cry together. We get to do all the things together, and watching people connect like that, nothing brings me more joy.
When the pandemic is in the rearview mirror, do you see yourself having like a brick and mortar store, or are you always going to do outside?
I mean, it is Wilmington, and so it's very tough to think about going indoors, but rolling those bikes out every single day
that's a workout in itself.
I know. I'm so tired. But my Michelle Obama arms are on the way.
Those are great arms to have.
Push. So we are thinking about it. We haven't decided yet. We haven't made a full decision, but ideally we'd love to have a space where we can be inside and outside all the time.
Well, circling back to One Tree Hill, you just reunited just days ago with some of your co-stars online for a good cause, a letter writing campaign for vote writers. How did that come about for you personally, and why was that important for you to participate in?
So Daphne reached out to all of us on a text. We have a big text chain, and told us that she was putting this together and was working with vote writers. And so we were like, I mean, at whatever we can do to help. You know, I know people probably didn't tune in to see Bevin from One Tree Hill. They were definitely they were looking for Stephen Coletti, let's be honest. But anytime I can show up in any way to be of support, it's so important that, you know, people's voices are heard and we take advantage of this. And Georgia has very difficult laws in terms of voter registration and
suppression.
So if we could get together for a few minutes of our time and make sure that some letters got written and people were notified of what they needed to do in order to make their voice heard, we're ready to be there.
As a fan, I mean, I tuned in as partly a fan, partly as like a journalist type observer. And it was just so awesome to see the camaraderie among you guys, how well you play off one another, how delighted fans were in the chat. Like your head had to have been spinning to try to keep up with the comments that kept going in. And then just the hilariousness of how seriously Hillary was taking the letter writing and being that mom cop role and are you doing your job? But it was just a really unique, one-of-a-kind opportunity for fans that's so different from the conventions, and yet for such an amazing, important cause.
It's, I mean, like I said, we're a tight-knit group of people that are bonded through these fans, and anytime we can get together is always a really positive and loving experience, and especially when we can put a cause behind it.
Well, speaking of the fans, I feel like they would clobber me if I didn't ask this question. And so I think the possibility of doing something in the One Tree Hill universe in the future, like a movie or a revival or a reboot, is complicated by what I'll just term as the Mark factor. What are your feelings about that?
If there's a way we could make this happen, I know that there are several people that would be very excited to do that. You know, I mean, I'd do anything to do it again. I'd do anything to do it again. So yeah, there's, I think everybody would love the idea of that. And so, you know, maybe there's a way and there's something that we haven't thought about yet. And there's a way to make it happen. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll keep those crossed. Okay, lastly, as we wrap up here, so you've participated in some of the conventions over the years. What do you think it is about One Tree Hill that has made it continue to have such life and such loyal fans so many years later?
I think it's the people that were involved in bringing it to life, you know, from every single crew member to the cast to the hair and makeup team. You can feel the actual, like, true love that exists amongst everyone involved. And I think that is just what made it so special. And you can see that and you can feel that, and everybody feels there's a character and someone they can relate to, and a reminder that, you know, you're not alone and your difficult times, and that other people have experienced it.
I agree. And it's wonderful seeing the life it continues to have via streaming platforms. And, you know, I'm in some of the fan groups, and you often see people who are discovering the show for the first time. And it's so amazing to have a show at that kind of longevity, especially when it's 2020 and there are literally thousands of options to watch. And they're choosing to watch this. And some people who have seen it before are choosing to watch it again and again, despite everything else that's out there.
It's amazing. It's incredible. It blows my mind. And I still can't believe I got to be a part of that.
Yeah. Well, on my site, it's funny that you mentioned community, because that's why I started my blog 10 years ago. I wanted to find fellow teen drama fans like me and be able to communicate with them, because I didn't have any in my real life.
Right.
So I cover 6 shows. I cover Beverly Hills 90210, Dawson's Creek, The OC, obviously One Tree Hill, Gossip Girl, and the 90210 spinoff that was on the CW.
Yeah.
Did you watch any other teen dramas yourself?
I watched a little bit of The OC when it was out. And obviously I watched 90210 when it was originally out, the first. Dating myself just a little bit here. Yeah, so that I watched that. I think that's really it. You know, I mean, I watched a little bit of, what's the one with like Archie and Veronica?
Yes, Riverdale.
I watched a full season of Riverdale. Got sucked into that on a Sunday.
Yeah, it'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my big like teen drama show when I was growing up was Felicity. So
nice.
I never missed it. Like, would watch it again, and My So-Called Life. Those were my teen dramas.
Well, those are great choices, and they're iconic parts of the genre as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Bevin, thank you so much for your time today. Just as a fan, it means so much to speak with you. It's a privilege and an honor, and I hope to make it out to one of your classes sometime soon.
You must come. You must let me know. You'll be my guest.
Okay, thank you.
It's awesome what you're doing, connecting people and bringing joy to people. So continue doing what you're doing. You're doing awesome.
Thank you. That means so much.
We'll have a